Two best friends climb El Capitan and vanish. No radio, no gear left behind, no final GPS ping. For years, the case sits cold, just another nature-claimed them story. Until a hiker stumbles across a sun-bleached backpack wedged beneath a boulder 3 years later. The discovery kicks off a sequence of events that exposes a secret so twisted, so meticulously hidden, it would change how investigators view the case forever. What happened to Benjamin Wilder and Miles Reeves on that mountain? And why did one of them never come back down alive or dead? Welcome to Echo Stories. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. Part 1, The Climb That Never Ended. It started as a dream trip. Benjamin Wilder, 28, a seasoned climber and biology teacher, had always wanted to conquer El Capitan. He wasn't going alone. With him was his lifelong best friend, Miles Reeves, 29, more impulsive, fun-loving, and the one who always filmed everything for their YouTube adventure channel. They arrived at Yosemite National Park in June, checked in at a climber's station, and set off the next morning with their gear. The planned summit via the nose route and camp on the ledge, midway up an advanced but achievable multi-day climb. They were expected back within 72 hours. But they never returned. Rangers found their base camp intact, food wrappers, equipment, receipts, even a pair of hiking boots outside the tent. It was like they just stepped away for a minute. Search helicopters scanned the vertical face. Rescue climbers rappelled for hours. No trace, no dropped gear, no signal from their satellite beacon. After 2 weeks, the official report concluded the obvious likely fall, possibly into one of El Capitan's countless hidden chutes or crevices, bodies unrecoverable. The families mourned. Tributes flooded in online. The climbing community grieved. But one person never gave up: Benjamin's sister, Vera. She knew her brother, and she never believed he died on that rock. Part 2, The Boulder and the Body. 3 years passed. El Capitan remained unchanged, majestic, towering, and indifferent. Then one spring morning, a solo hiker and her dog were navigating an off-route scramble near the base of the mountain when her dog began barking at a crack beneath a fallen boulder. She looked closer and froze. Wedged beneath the slab was a human leg tangled in a fraying rope. Search and rescue responded immediately. The remains were badly decomposed, but still dressed in climbing gear, boots, harness, and a nylon jacket. An ID was found in the inner pocket. Miles Reeves. DNA confirmed it. The initial theory of fall and vanish suddenly didn't hold. Miles hadn't fallen far. In fact, his body was in an area previously searched, meaning something had moved or disturbed the debris since the original disappearance. The story exploded in the media. El Capitan mystery reopens as body of missing climber found. But Vera Wilder, Benjamin's sister, focused on something different. Miles had a GoPro attached to his vest. It was crushed and in water damaged, but she begged the Rangers to try and recover anything from the memory card. After weeks of forensic work, the technicians were able to extract 3 minutes of footage. The video was jumbled, dark, shaking, but one thing stood out. Miles was filming from the ground. He was injured, panicked, whispering, "He's not dead. Vernon's gonna, oh God, Ben." Then static. Who was Vernon? Why wasn't Benjamin with him? And how did Miles, who was supposed to be on El Capitan, end up dying on flat terrain in a ravine miles from the summit route? Vera didn't wait for police to figure it out. She got in her car and drove straight to the last place her brother had worked before the climb, a remote property near the Yosemite border, owned by a man named Vernon Hartley. Part 3, The Man in the Pines. Vera Wilder remembered Vernon Hartley. He was a quiet landowner with a sprawling property bordering national parkland. Her brother Benjamin and Miles had worked there for a few weeks before their climb, helping fix fencing, clear brush, and earn quick cash. But Vernon had never mentioned that to police during the original investigation. That alone was strange. Even stranger, when Vera arrived at his property, Vernon didn't act surprised. "Oh," he said, tilting his head, "you're Ben's sister." That set off every alarm bell in Vera's mind. How did he recognize her? They'd never met. "I didn't know Ben very well," he added. "He was quiet. Him and the other one, what was his name? Mark?" "Miles," she corrected. He waved it off. Right. But Benjamin had lived and worked on Vernon's land for nearly a month. He wasn't just quiet, he was methodical, observant, and deeply skeptical of anyone too charming. As Vera walked around the property, she spotted something behind the barn, a squat concrete structure half sunk into the earth with steel doors and ventilation pipes. She asked Vernon about it. "Old root cellar," he said, but something about it looked new, too new. And when Vera lingered by it later that night, she heard something that made her knees go weak. A voice, faint, human, crying, saying the word please. She fled back to her car and called the police. But when they arrived 2 hours later, nothing. The cellar door was locked. Vernon, calm and cooperative, claimed no knowledge of strange noises. The officers left, but Vera didn't. She set up a motion camera in the woods nearby, sat in her car for hours, and just before dawn, she saw Vernon return to the cellar, carrying food and talking to someone through the vent. Someone who whispered back. Part 4, the cellar. Vera had seen enough. She returned the next day not with cops, but with a thermal drone borrowed from a volunteer SAR technician she met online. Together, they flew the drone over Vernon's property just after midnight. The footage showed a heat signature clearly human inside the underground shelter. Someone was alive down there, but police still hesitated. Vernon was respected, well-connected. He donated to fire crews hosted fundraisers. Without hard evidence of a crime, they wouldn't act. So Vera decided to get it herself. She returned alone, wearing a body cam and carrying a bolt cutter. It was stupid, dangerous, but she was desperate. She approached the cellar quietly, pried open the latch on the ventilation pipe, lowered a string tied to a mic. The sound that came through, sobbing, and a name. Ben. Vera's chest seized. It was her brother. But before she could speak, a flashlight beam caught her from behind. It was Vernon. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He just raised a taser, and Vera's world went black. When she came to, she was inside the shelter. She was chained by the ankle, dim lighting, concrete walls, the smell of mildew, and something far worse. Across the room, lying on a thin mattress, was a man with a beard, long hair, and hollow eyes. Benjamin. He didn't react at first, just stared, then whispered, "Don't talk loud. He's always listening." Vera wept. She reached for him. He flinched, then slowly leaned forward, touched her hand. "I thought I dreamed you." Upstairs, Vernon prepared for what he called the end of the story. He loaded a revolver, brought down rope and a shovel. But he didn't know the drone had gone live to Blake, Vera's contact, who had been monitoring the feed. And Blake had already called SWAT. Part 5, the rescue and the reckoning, and Vera could hear the hinges squeal. Vernon was coming. Steps on concrete. That low, syrupy voice. "Woman, you shouldn't have come back here, Vera. Now I'll have to make it permanent." She backed against the wall, heart racing. Across the room, Benjamin pulled himself upright, shaking, pale, barely strong enough to stand. But something had changed in him. He wasn't going to let his sister die. As Vernon stepped through the door with the gun drawn, a deafening bang echoed through the property. Flash grenades. SWAT. The door burst open behind him. Vernon whirled too slow. He hit the ground with a scream. 2 officers tackled him, cuffed, dragged, and Vera, shaking, weeping, collapsed into the arms of the rescue team. They carried Benjamin out on a stretcher. After 106 days underground, he had seen the sky again. Investigators uncovered the truth. Vernon Hartley had lured Benjamin and Miles to his property weeks before the climb. He grew obsessed with Benjamin, his calmness, his mind, his silence. When Miles discovered Vernon's advances toward Benjamin, he threatened to expose him. Vernon snapped. He killed Miles, staged the disappearance, and kept Benjamin alive, hidden in an underground shelter he had personally constructed, that complete with surveillance supplies and steel locks. He believed Benjamin would eventually understand. He called it love. The court called it kidnapping, murder, imprisonment, aggravated assault, and sexual abuse. Vernon will die in prison. Benjamin spent months in recovery. At first, he didn't speak. He didn't blink. But Vera stayed beside him. Eventually, he said just one name, Miles. Tears rolled down Vera's face. He remembered. And when Benjamin testified at Vernon's trial, the entire courtroom sat in stunned silence. He said one thing to his captor: "You took 3 years from me, but I'm taking my life back. If you believe in justice, resilience, and the power of a sister who never gave up, share this story." Subscribe to Echo Stories for more real-life mysteries, true crime, and the voices that refuse to stay buried. Because even in darkness, some people never stop climbing.